Okay. Here we go. All right. So now we should get some people starting to file in. And then at Bobbin, maybe we can hit the record button in like 2 or 3 minutes. I think Bu was gonna hop up. I believe we have some folks from ChainSafe joining us as well. Oh, there's Sean. There's a hand from Sean. And Bu.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Testing. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Fall. Coming in loud and clear.
Okay, so I'll get back up if I have something to say.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see in a little bit.
See Liz from ChainSafe and Marilyn in the crowd. If Liz and anybody on your team that is going to speak, if you guys could just raise your hand and have Cold bring the whole stage, that'd be great.
Bu, you are coming in just a little bit muffled. If there's any adjustments at all you can make to your setup. I know you're on mobile here at the beginning, but maybe it's just a matter of talking a little bit louder.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that is better.
All right.
Hey, Martin, Head of Engineering in ChainSafe, joining in.
Hello. Welcome. And then was Liz, you said Liz was gonna hop up as well?
Yeah.
Liz is here. It's Liz TK, the audience.
I think actually, Liz, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand, I don't know if I can invite you up without a hand raise. Request to speak. I don't think.
Okay, it looks like Liz might be having some technical difficulties.
Are you DMing or?
Yeah. She was DMing me that maybe the mic's not connected.
Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna hop off here, probably make some more space, and then I think Bu, I'll just leave it to you and the rest of the EPs up here to steer this ship. But I'll be in the audience listening.
All right, I'm gonna give it another 2 minutes. I'm actually almost at my house, so I'm switching over to the desktop, and it'll be a lot easier for me to communicate with y'all. So give me 2 minutes. Is that better? Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. I badly need some coffee.
Yeah, it is better.
All right.
Yeah, you said a lot better.
Whew. All right, perfect. Okay, so yeah, I think we can sort of get started here. So as we posted yesterday, there is a proposal from ChainSafe to work with the Echelon Prime Foundation on building out something that is dubbed Uplink. Uplink can theoretically be the hub for any number of endeavors and projects, smart contracts, and front ends that benefits the Echelon Prime community going forward. The first two products that we are interested in this are bonds and marketplace. The marketplace stuff, I think it's pretty clear. I think Ted actually, Ted from Paragons did a great job kind of enumerating the pros and cons and why the focus on an L2. There are some details that are unfortunately not at liberty to get into there. Not everything is our story to tell, but in due time, some of the motivation there will become available. But I ask you guys to kind of like trust that we've had conversations with the relevant partners and third parties on this, and that information will become clear in time. But that doesn't. Writing mode is to find ways to create Prime syncs and expand the number of use cases for Prime token holders. The other product, I think folks have a bit more information about, which is bonds. It seems like there was maybe some initial confusion over who was going to deliver bonds, given the resource constraint and the priority on delivering a game that all of us here have tons of conviction in. We are going to be working to help get bonds out from the infrastructure side. We've had a number of conversations with again, various stakeholders, from people that are building out APIs that bonds would rely on, to potential service providers to help us deliver the smart contracts and front ends of that, as well as potential larger organizations that would utilize this. And anyway, that's kind of like the motivation. There was, a high level overview in the grant proposal. There was more detail that we got into during the conversations yesterday, and I think we cleared up a few things. And we're fortunate enough to have some of the ChainSafe folks here today as well to help answer the questions for the community. So yeah, I guess without, I don't have anything else to kind of like preface with. Do any of the EPs have anything else to say?
Well, that music comes on really quickly. Yeah, one thing, I'm just here mostly to chat about any questions pertaining to card sharing, or how we envision bonds to build on top of that, and card sharing as a third-party service for other organizations to build upon as well. And yeah, looking forward to fielding questions, and yeah, have a good morning.
Anything else from the other EPs up here? Or any opening words for you, Marin?
Yeah, I mean, glad to be invited here and to clear up anything. I think we were members of a community for a very long time. And yeah, I mean, we previously also helped Parallel build the storage solution for free. So I think we have a pretty good credibility from all other projects that we also did.
What is this music, and stop it? Yeah, I guess. I'm sorry, that really distracted me. Hung saying it's not a bug, it's a feature. So I guess with kind of like that foundation laid, I want to open up the floor. I guess if anybody has a question, please raise your hand, or please submit it to the sort of chat box on the side, and we can help kind of surface that if you don't want to get up and speak yourself. Yeah, Gamble, I'm not muting myself so this music doesn't play. Cold, I think we did go over a high level overview of what the proposal entails, at least from the product side. Okay, it looks like Warwick Fall, if you can give a brief explanation of the bond system from Parallel. And I guess by that, I'm gonna sort of work, I'm gonna maybe reinterpret this question to be card sharing, as bonds is going to be built on top of card sharing. As I said yesterday, it is sort of the permissioned side of the permissionless card sharing feature that Parallel is working on. So yeah, Fall, do you want to sort of maybe give a high level overview of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I got you to unmute for a second. All right, so card sharing, it's the protocol that Parallel is going to be developing to allow the sharing of all of our NFTs and EADAs in a way that doesn't require a lot of the downsides of using blockchain. So for example, we'll be able to we're exploring a lot of the feasibility and precise technical implementation details for card sharing right now, so all of this is subject to change. But ideally, card sharing will be able to work in a way where users are able to keep their NFTs in their wallet and then share the permissions to use those cards within the game client. And then in doing so, in being somebody who is lending cards to somebody else who is using them, you will likely be able to earn some prime from the prime that they go out and use that card to earn. And yeah, so bonds would be a build on top of this. So bonds would be the ability to be able to build an organization, to build a group, to build a guild. And this bond would have a name, a nice banner, and then they would have a collection of assets that they could share amongst themselves. The specifics about bonds and exactly how all of that will shape out is precisely what we'll be working with ChainSafe on. But for the particulars about card sharing, to bring it back there for a moment, card sharing will have one sort of key offering that's a permissionless lending system where everybody will be able to just lend cards from their wallets without needing to move their NFTs, and they'll be able to provide those cards to sort of a public sharing pool. And anybody who opts into the card sharing system would be able to go and borrow cards from these pools. But the restriction here, the challenge here, is that card sharing, at least in the offering that Parallel will be providing on top of this protocol, is that you don't get to choose who gets to borrow your card. You're only providing to a pool, and anyone can step in and borrow from that pool. So bonds is the build on top of that that allows very fine-tuned exact controls about I want card A to go to Bu and I want card B to go to Nain. So there's a high-level overview of card sharing. Let me know if you have any further questions. Oh, you were typing questions. I can just answer those. So it's permissionless. Is that on L1? Does it incur fees? So in keeping your NFTs in your wallet, we'll be able to avoid transaction fees. There will be some fees associated with using the card sharing protocol. The specifics of that will come out as they are more concrete. And when it comes to the marketplace integrations, that's more of a question for uplink design. So I'll put a pin in that. And all right, Bu, I think it's good to hand it back to you.
Okay. All right, so I see one question in here. Can you speak about how card trading selling will work on L2 marketplace when all current NFTs are on an L1? I think what I can't say everything, but what I can say is currently all NFTs are on L1. It is possible that in the future there may be new NFTs which are on another network. Flubber is asking, this is a large project without a lot of detail shared. What is the expected timeline? And two, I've dealt with a lot of contracts in my professional career. It's not typical to give a share percentage of the sales to someone developing a solution. Why not be a bit more professional in the contract, pay up front without the need to create a maintenance fee? Okay, I'm gonna leave off the last bit. So number one, the expected time frame, I think we've outlined this in the proposal, is, and I guess like Marin and Liz, please pop in and correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're looking at anywhere from like 8 to 12 weeks. Obviously, timelines can change, but that is the current projection based on the research done by ChainSafe. In terms of the why is there a fee? So one, it is the main reason, as others have pointed out, typically when you have these sort of like one-off contracts to build something, it's built and it's handed off to you, and that's it. We want to ensure, one, the product is maintained over time, and two, that ChainSafe is incentivized to keep it up to date and to continue to work with us to, make sure that as updates need to happen, as minor bug fixes need to happen, those are taken care of without having to like go back and necessarily be nickel and dimed every time. So what we see is that this is a way in which we get quite a bit of service, both from a like literal point and from like an operational point in maintaining and keeping the product up to date and relevant. And we also, hopefully keep ChainSafe as a partner that is invested in the continued growth and expansion of Prime and the Prime ecosystem by having some amount of limited upside in the future. Okay, Aiden, you're from ChainSafe. Yeah, I guess, do any of the ChainSafe folks have anything else they want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. But firstly, thank you for providing that answer. I mean, it's exactly aligned with how we view this. And maybe to just give a little bit of background on kind of who we are and what we do in this space. We've been an organization for 6 years. And a lot of the things that we work on, we've been working on almost since the beginning of our organization. And really our goal is to be here to provide open source infrastructure in a long-term sustainable way. And really, as you said, the goal here is to not just be a service provider, not to just view this as just another thing, but rather to see this as a core fundamental part of what we do each and every day as an organization. And so, in general, that means kind of some kind of incentive mechanism that kind of aligns everyone. But more importantly, it is to enable us to focus on building. And as you said, not to have to worry about each and every time something comes up. Because at the end of the day, we see this the way that we see kind of Web3.js or Lodestar, kind of some of the other open source stuff we work on, and that our goal is to work on this for the rest of time, right? That is our goal in the Web3 space, is to build kind of these primitives that will outlive us all. And yeah, the aim is for this to be one of them.
Awesome, thank you for that. Looks like Flubber is typing as well.
I mean, maybe just to respond directly to that, I mean, in the Web3 space, nothing we do, if you go and look at our website or our GitHub, do we see as being a service provider contract. I think that that's kind of limiting the collaboration, first of all, that goes into something like this. This is a lot more than just us doing this for ourselves, but us trying to do something that is aligned with the vision of the community. and that requires doing things differently. So yeah, I mean, we absolutely do not view this as just another service contract. And I think going to our GitHub or our website and seeing kind of the work that we do and have been doing for the last 6 years, you can see that for yourself without having to trust my words. And yeah, like that is at the end of the day why we're here, to build open source primitives that are here to promote a truly decentralized Web3. And this is definitely one of those primitives that we're incredibly proud to have the opportunity to contribute towards. But I can't reiterate enough that we as an organization and in having these conversations have never viewed this as just another service contract. And quite frankly, we wouldn't be in this place that we're in right now if we did.
Until let folks keep typing. What other questions do folks have? Does anybody want to come up and speak as well? Veggie Chicken digging the elevator music. Okay, I guess, yeah, perhaps for Aiden and Marin, Warwick is bringing up that previously it looks like there was potentially some concerns regarding time for completion of the product, that it might be too optimistic. Yeah, just kind of tossing that out there in case you have any thoughts or comments on the timeline and all of that.
Yeah, I can answer that. I mean, like we went through a pretty lengthy process of detailing everything and scoping everything out to like iron out every details. Like it might not have been visible from the like proposal doc, but like we do have very detailed like spec and like all the components. So we are pretty much aware of what we are doing. We also have a lot of components that we already own that we're gonna like share for this. Which will definitely help us achieve those timelines that we promised.
Awesome, thanks for that.
And if also I can just respond to Flubber's other message, we're not Microsoft, and we don't want to be Microsoft, and we never want to be Microsoft. We are a Web3 native company that helps build blockchains as well as developer tools to interact with those blockchains. And so, though there are plenty of rev share like contracts that happened in the traditional Web2 world, we will never use someone like Microsoft as a kind of glamorized form of how we should conduct ourselves in this new internet and this new kind of web. And I don't mean that kind of in an aggressive way in any way. I just mean that in like pure, honest from the heart. We are not Microsoft, and we are a group of people that, as Marin said, have been a part of this community, but are looking to more tangibly be a part of this community in a meaningful way moving forward. And so, you don't just get us as a service provider. You get 125 people who are absolutely committed to this being a part of kind of the future of Web3 with how we kind of make that and work towards that every single day. And that's not something you get from a service agreement with Microsoft. Definitely not.
I'm going to jump in here real quick just to say that while ChainSafe might not be Microsoft, Microsoft is not an option. They didn't bid on the proposal. They have no interest in working with us. I don't think we could even get them on the phone using all of our clout. I mean, we may as well say that Apple isn't interested in working with us either. I mean, there's more companies that have no interest in doing this proposal than there are companies that do. So, you know,
all right, I'm gonna circle back to Moejack again. So these are great questions. It looks like Fall had to drop, but my understanding is that there will be essentially a sort of like limited test group for the card sharing and a sort of very primitive iteration of bonds in the beta. That's not 100% confirmed. Please do not quote me on this, but the idea there is to get early feedback from users, which we can then feed back in through ChainSafe as well as part of this process. Additionally, we have spoken extensively with Paragons, who are poised to be one of the biggest users for this, and spent a lot of time working with Ted and their team and their developers on sort of what they need from a bond standpoint in terms of administration and features. And so we feel like we have a pretty good handle on this from people that we know in the community right now are making pretty big bets on the bond system. Over time, I think this is a great point to raise and something that we can express what's the best way to sort of collect feedback from bond users and community members about sort of like different features or bug fixes or whatever, and figure out a best way to sort of like, hey, are these in scope from an infrastructure standpoint? Are these more of a potential product to be built on top of the infrastructure, and sort of sort it from there and funnel it out? But yeah, I will say, as the game comes online and as the products are used, I absolutely want people that are using these to provide feedback. Like that's just, I think, good practice for product iteration. So thanks for raising that. I hope that this answers your question in that it's something that we've already engaged in and already are thinking about. But as the products get rolled out, getting more feedback from community members who are actively using these things is going to be really important. But I think maybe more directly to your point, a good portion of this will probably be EPs trying to sort out what is sort of in scope for the infrastructure and what's maybe out of scope and more a sort of like product on top. Does that answer your question or make sense? I think EPs having final saves maybe it's difficult because, for example, like our view is largely that we're focused on the infrastructure. Like, for example, Paragons we know is going to build their own system on top of this that is kind of specific to how they want to function as a bond. So what do we need to provide from the infrastructure layer as echelon? And so I guess what I'm trying to communicate is there may be feature requests that are more appropriate to products that are built on top of the infrastructure that I would view potentially as out of scope. Now, that doesn't mean that we couldn't investigate looking at those, but it would be something where I'm thinking about, hey, is this a product on top of the underlying infrastructure, or is this an infrastructure change and improvement? And depending upon that, we may say, hey, like we think that this is maybe a product that should be built on top of bonds, and maybe we'll put out an RFP for that or something. Or hey, like this is this actually is related to the infrastructure, how the infrastructure works. Let's go figure out how to add this. All right, Warwick is asking, what's the level of open source of the project? Is it something that people can build stuff on top of? I think high level is yes, but I will allow ChainSafe to add a bit more color there.
I guess I can answer that. Yeah, I mean, like 90, probably 5% of everything that we do is like open source. So we are well versed in like managing open source community and developing, and like obviously like everybody's always welcome to open an issue if something is wrong or something can be improved. Obviously, like we still need to keep our promises to some deliverables and like cannot just like change stuff all the time. But yeah, I mean, if you notice some like UX issue or like something illogical, we can definitely notice and take and learn from that.
Thank you for that. See what else we got. All right, Work says thank you. Looks like we got some more folks typing. Just give it a second for these questions to populate. Any other thoughts or questions from folks? Warwick. So we are trying to time this a bit with the game, and specifically on bonds. Like Parallel is a really important partner for us as a game studio, and so we've had a lot of conversations with them about this timeline as well. So a lot of this is kind of like in partnership with understanding the sort of needs and expectations of our partners in Parallel as well. Does that answer your question, Mark? Like Mojack is typing. Yeah, so I guess Moe, it won't just be PDAO. I think that there's going to be, again, this is more a Parallel question than us, but my understanding is Parallel is looking to engage in initial, looks like Fall is typing. Okay, I'll let Fall sort of maybe circle back on the how Parallel is imagining the early testing of the card sharing system and some of the bond stuff. Oh, Fall's back. All right, take it over, Paul.
Yeah, sure. All right. So, with card sharing being a fairly sophisticated build, we're going to be building it out in a couple of different stages. I'm going to be repeating a lot of what you said, but what we're going to be doing for closed beta is reaching out to some of our largest collectors and seeing if they're interested in providing cards to our earliest card sharing service that'll be available in closed beta. And what this will look like is let's look at PDAO for as an example. They have a wallet with 4 quadrillion cards in it. And what we will do is we will mark this wallet as available inventory in this card sharing system, and people will be able to come in and borrow cards from that to be able to complete their decks and be able to compete in closed beta and the various tournaments and things like that. In the longer term, however, there will be, we're planning on opening this up to anybody who wants to lend cards. However, there's quite a few challenges around that when it comes to making it work in a way where users are still able to hold their NFTs in their wallet. But we have a solution that we are exploring that I'm feeling very confident about. But because it's so subject to change, I'm not going to share more details about that just yet.
Bounty, I believe that bonds will not be lending to the public. They will lend to their own members internally. Yeah, like if you want to use the public pools where, anybody can get any card, I think you'll want to use the publics, but if you want to be more targeted and more specific, and have more control, then you'll probably want to be a member of a bond and use those private pools. What other questions do folks have here? Fall, maybe this is for you. Is Echelon going to create public pools? Can anybody create one?
So these pools, excuse me, am I just eating some breakfast here? These pools will be automatically made. So essentially, the way that these pools will be working is they'll be split into, there will be a specific card for each card name. So for example, if you have a bunch of Annihilates in your wallet, and you can only use 3 in a deck, and let's say you're holding on to 40 for you degenerate, but no. Let's say you're holding on to 40 cards, you can only use 3 of them, and you have 37 extra. You can then take these 37 extra cards and provide them to the card liquidity pools. There will be a pool for Annihilate, and there will be a separate card, or there will be a separate pool for Saboteurs. So then when somebody comes and borrows some Annihilates, they will be able to dip into that pool of 37 available Annihilates, and then people will be able to borrow those cards until they're all borrowed out. If a card lending pool is entirely out of inventory, then I'm sorry, you're out of luck. There's no more Annihilates available to be borrowed. However, the number of Annihilates that have been provided does not impact the number of Saboteurs that are available. Think of it as borrowing Magic the Gathering cards in the physical format. Only one person can be holding that copy at the same time. So the card sharing protocol will automatically spin up these pools for each card that exists within the parallel ecosystem. Hopefully that answers your question. You're asking about the details about the rewards payouts for card sharing. So just to reiterate here, card sharing is the base level MVP offering that will be shipped along with the card sharing protocol. Bonds is where users will be able to create their own pools. And that's where you'll be able to have the different groups and guilds and gaming organizations have their own grouping of assets, and they'll be able to give those to specific professional players or people who are very active in their communities and things like that. But when it comes to this general card sharing pool, it's just the baseline public layer that offers as a base level of functionality for everyone to be able to participate, but there's no ability to target exactly who you're giving cards to. And that's what Bonds adds to this whole system. So The public will be able to create further pools, if I'm understanding the way that you are phrasing this. The public will be able to create further pools with bonds. But outside of bonds, there will be one pool for each card. The public will have no reason to create additional pools on top of that.
Cool. All right. Okay, it looks like Warwick is asking another. Will the shared cards in pools accrue renown for their owners?
Specific decisions like this will require playtesting data to be able to make hard decisions on, so we will see.
All right, what other questions do we got here? Yeah, we are pushing up towards 45 minutes. Moe Jack is asking, will the marketplace be list bid structure, essentially OS on an L2 specific for TCGs? I will let Eden or Marin take that one.
So initially, no, it will be just like list and buy out. Like there will be no auction structure. Initially, I think they'll all be listed in Prime token to buy, or if you list it in another token, it will get converted. Like the Prime will be bought on the DEX.
Warwick, will there be more detailed proposal about the product before voting on this? Yeah, I will look to clean up the product, or yeah, the sort of more detailed document that we have and share that out. But let me just make sure that nothing that we can't say due to or announcements that are outside the scope of Echelon are in there before getting that out. All right, cool. Any other questions from folks? Otherwise, I will probably start to wrap this up. Cool. I guess I will say I will encourage. I'll post a screenshot of this. I got booted for trying to post a blog post, but yeah, there's a cool blog post that Base just posted that features Parallel that I would encourage folks to check out as well. Pretty cool to see that. Yeah, I guess let's see here. I think in terms of next steps, we're going to take a lot of this feedback, a lot of these questions. Oh, it looks like OX Max. Win avatar sync. I believe that the avatar manifest, if it's not open at this exact second, is opening soon, and the manifest is payable in Prime. Is that what you are referring to? Okay.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I guess since it's a parallel question, the avatars will be available on.
Oh, fall rugged. I'll have to wait. On next season. Okay. All right, so I guess whether or not Fall can get back on. Yeah, so next steps, yes, we're gonna take the feedback. I'm going to scrub the sort of the document to make sure that there's nothing that can't be shared in it, and share that out, and we can continue the conversation asynchronously in the specific governance channel for this. I believe ChainSafe folks are in the Discord. I think you know some names now. Just probably tag them, and we will also help answer these. And then I guess a final call work, we'll probably make a determination on whether a final call is needed based on additional feedback over this time, and then we'll sort of share out any details on voting after that. We're hiring devs, ChainSafe. Yeah, I guess if that's it, then yeah, I guess I'm gonna end the call here, and we can keep up the conversation in the Uplink grant proposal channel. Thanks everyone for coming. There was actually great attendance this time. I appreciate folks taking time out of their day to be here and help with this process. It makes makes the job that much better. So thanks everybody. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers.